né, além de tipografia, então já ser escolhida pela FK não é pouca coisa, né? Então ele vai contar esse projeto pra gente, e é interessante também de ver que a gente ficou pela manhã um pouco mais de quem usa a tipografia em seus projetos, e agora a gente vai começar uma sessão mais também de type designers falando, né? A gente vai ver o outro lado da moeda, né? Então, um recado só antes, a urna está aqui na esquerda para aquele formulário que vocês preencheram. A gente vai ter mais uma palestra depois do intervalo, quando der um intervalinho levam para lá. As perguntas podem ficar passando, já está aqui, já montou um shortlist bom de perguntas, e então com vocês aí, César Puertas.
Hello. I'm sorry this lecture is going to be given in English. It's basically like some kind of an accessibility choice. I hope my words are better understood, even if they go through the filter of translation. But for those of you who understand English already, it will be probably easier. What I want to show you this afternoon is the result of a few months, like six months of work. Back in 2010, it was already 3 years ago. This is absolutely not the kind of work that you are expected to do when you're just 35. It's happened just 1 year after your graduation master's course. But it was very rewarding, and it has been kind of successful because it has had very good critique. And this is of course why I bring it to you. It has given me many lessons. I've learned a lot from this work. So yeah, this is the idea of the presentation. To show you the design process, the things involved not always are easy to see, and it takes some time and some effort to explain. But first, let me show you a little bit more about my studio, Tipocracia, as Christian said. This studio was a dream that my wife and who was my girlfriend when I was in college, and a couple of friends also from college. It's a dream that we had back in the 1990s, and this is them. This is Tipocracia, Leonor, and Patricia, and when we founded this design studio, we just want to have jobs very highly involved with typography and type design, not necessarily custom typefaces, but many letters in a way. But as you can imagine, it's not easy to get clients who need custom type design. So what we do mostly in our studio is to redesign logos. We mostly help design agencies, design studios, and ad agencies to develop, to draw the letters that they find really hard to draw, because either they don't know or because they really want something very special. So this is some of our work, the letters of this brand, the letters of this other brand, bowling. This one is a bowling kind of chord. I don't know if that's the right name, but you go play bowling there. And sometimes we have visual identity commissions, like in this case, El Magazante, a cultural magazine. That they have this very particular problem with the relationship between illustration and the masthead of the publication, and we we did this, which helps a little bit to like not to mix both of them too much, especially in those cases where illustrations are very cluttered and very full of things. We also designed a typeface for their use, but they didn't use it for the titles, for the sections. This is another example of how hard to appreciate our work is. This is the logo of a big supermarket in Colombia. And this is what came into our studio. The designer didn't really know if this was correct. He was obsessed with the idea of a smile between the two L's. So that's why they are very, very separated. And this is the tweaking that we made. It's a very small, very full of details, as you can see. It's a very hard to appreciate job. This is another logo that we designed for a hamburger restaurant called Charlie's. This is what came out. So yeah, well, this is now let's talk about the typeface itself. This is not talk about the studio, about the typeface for República. As I was telling you, this is a very special kind of job. So this is why I want to explain a few things that serve as a basis for its design. I'm a teacher at the university, so I kind of like the theory of design a little bit. So let me tell you a little bit about our design philosophy. And I think that every design commission has to have a purpose. It can't be intentional. So I always try to consider like what for? What is this for? Why does it deserve to be designed? But of course, that by itself is not enough. And you have to take into account what you have, what kind of things you have at hand to design. Those are your resources. And of course, you need to take into account who you are addressing and also who is paying for the kind of job you're making. So those are called kind of the stakeholders. Stakeholders is a very big word because it tries to embrace more than just the user, because the user is just one of the many people involved in a design project. And whenever you overlap these categories that are mostly present in a design project, you find, for instance, limits between purposes and resources. You find costs when you overlap resources and stakeholders, and of course you find meanings, like the things that are overlapping purposes and stakeholders are considered. So this presentation is about how these three things merge, how these three things are considered. So let's talk first about the purposes of this commission. The client asked us to design a new typeface. What they had in mind was something very elegant, very credible. It's La República is an economic journal. So they give economic news and they use many numbers, and people really believe what they have to say. So this is a very important aspect for this commission. In the economic side of the project, we had this restraint, which was performance, because the newspaper had to change its format. It had to be smaller, and therefore they needed to cut printing costs. And so the performance had to be better than what they had. On the technical side, the newspapers are very problematic because it's the kind of printing that gives many problems. The paper is usually not the best quality. The ink is kind of liquid, so it tends to spread too much. And the speed of the web press is constantly changing the shape of what is printed, so perhaps that is not 100% consistent. So that was a technical challenge too. On the ergonomic side, it had to be very comfortable to read, of course, and that is, of course, not easy. That makes you think at first about text typeface inevitably. And on the other hand, there were other things, such as they needed an exclusive license for that, for use. They had to be very versatile, which means that they had to meet many purposes. They had to be adequate for many purposes, other than just text. It had to be a corporate typeface. They want to use it in the logo. It had to be on the web. That's kind of a project they have for the future. So that's complicated. Also very complete and very easy to use. What concerns to the resources involved in this project, this is very much what you need nowadays to design a new typeface, a new type family. And of course, this is kind of like a picture that contains many elements. On one side, there is some technological aspects. Of course, you need a computer, you need applications. Those applications are usually from lab. Another application called Superpolator that I use for trying to find like the instances between two extremes, two extremes in the design. And the prepolator, which helps you to prepare those files for the interpolation process, and word processors, which are absolutely necessary to test the typeface. And this is what you see when you're designing a typeface, of course. I think most of these things you already know. This is an image of a Superpolator interface where you can you see the upper left corner. That is like the design space where you put your extremes, like the letters that are going to serve as the extremes of your design. Say the light and the bold, in order to find all the fonts in between or even beyond one of them. On the methodological aspect, we had to meet together many times. Of course, a project like this needs lots of sketching, lots of meetings, lots of printed proofs. We have to change things all the time, and that's until very recently I understood that was part of the nature of the design process itself. I always hated to redo work all the time, but it's something that you just can't fight. You just can't fight all the time. So this project and some others have taught me that. In the evaluation sessions, it's not just drawing. It's not just doing. It's about looking at what you're done and trying to fix things over and over, trying to improve constantly. The human resources involved were one person who had some experience, specific knowledge of typography, and time for 6 months' time. That's me, of course. The stakeholders involved were of two kinds. I can I could identify two, which were inner, like people inside the newspaper, who were designers, some marketing staff, directors, web press operators, and authors, stakeholders also, who were mostly the ones who read the newspaper. But they are not just like one big group, one big bunch of people. They have all different interests, they all have different backgrounds, and they have to try to address them all. This project needed some research during the design, and this research involved what we had before. Well, how the newspaper looked before our intervention. We are not responsible, or my studio, we are not responsible for the design of the newspaper itself. That was made in-house, that was made by the staff of the newspaper. However, they had plans that we had to know, that we couldn't just ignore them. And this is how the newspaper looked before the intervention in-house, before the design of the newspaper. And as you can see, it's very traditional, it's kind of boring. It looks very much the same as especially another newspaper, but it looks like almost like any newspaper in Colombia. So they wanted to change completely that, and also we wanted to see what typographic aspects deep inside the shape of the letters could be responsible for this appearance, who was considered kind of boring. This is Phoenix, the typeface designed by Novarese, an Italian designer, back in the 1970s. When he designed this typeface, he didn't really have a purpose in mind, especially not the purpose of serving as a headline typeface. So that was it was very weird. It had a very uneven texture. What Aldo Novarese wanted was to reinterpret the modern classics like Bologna or something like that. He wanted to make it very condensed, and he wanted to find a different alternative to the stroke endings, such as what you see there in red, and which were not so like the typical bold terminals that are very used in the modern typefaces. And also some letters were very uneven. S was especially wide, for instance, and the staff, the design staff of the newspaper didn't want to keep on using a typeface which was so aggressive. That's how they described it. But not everything is just aesthetics. There was another problem that this typeface had, which is its performance in the news headlines. The headlines in La República are quite long, and they have many figures, many numbers, and they also use acronyms all the time, such as US or IED, and those didn't look very well in the typeface they were using. So when I saw this, I saw an opportunity to intervene. The text typeface had issues of its own. This is a revival. It was made in the early, the first few decades of the 20th century. This is designed for the linotype machine, and it's a Caslon style. It was not intended to be a digital typeface, but when they digitized it, they just copied exactly what these people made in the 1920s. So they didn't take into account a very specific use or the didn't take into account like a special purpose. When the people of La República a few years ago chose this typeface, they didn't really understood the restraints of web press printing or the specific needs of newspaper text. This is the kind of problems that I found when I analyzed the text as a whole, as a texture. The proportions of the typeface were very slightly condensed, but not enough for the incredibly narrow columns that the newspaper was using. So I kind of thought also this was an opportunity. The uppercase was very big in comparison, or compared to the lowercase, and since they use so many acronyms, again, this could have been a problem. The kerning was not good in this typeface, and also the figures were only available, they only had uppercase figures available, so that produced many problems. So on one hand, I tried to look at the newspaper, the earlier newspaper, what they had before, but I also tried to research a little bit what is supposed to be a newspaper typeface. How is it supposed to look like? And this is what I found. This is Gulliver by Harold Unger, and it's a typeface which that I like very much because in its brief it says that it stands kind of the distortions that some designers are obliged to make in a typeface, in the text, in the digital applications, in order to save space or to use the text in narrow columns. And I think this is very interesting and radically different from what most of us have been taught at college. Teachers usually say, you can't deal with the proportions of the typeface. But why not? I mean, yeah, I know the letter forms can become distorted, but if the typeface is specifically designed to stand for a little bit of this distortion, I think it's great. Of course, the Folha de São Paulo was also considered for this design, and it's a typeface that I like very much because of its very open contours, and I think it worked very well for newspapers. This was not specifically designed for a newspaper, but it had some kind of classical feel. This one is Lyon by Kaiber now. And now many newspapers use it, and I think there is a good reason why. It has a very nice texture, the variants of the typeface, the proportions are very nice also. And this work by Eduardo Manso also served as kind of an inspiration for my own work, especially the proportions I like them because even though they are based strongly on Times New Roman, they depart slightly from this model, and they propose a slightly different approach. This is another typeface used for the Guardian. I don't remember very well who designed this. Maybe it was Paul Lawrence, Christian, and Christian Schwartz. Yeah, the serif and the sans version. And there were like oldies, like old typefaces also that were used for newspapers, and I became also interested in them. I saw kind of an emerging pattern because as time has passed, the modulation, the stress, the modulation axis has tended to straighten up, and that's interesting. And until almost this last example of Swift, it's virtually vertical, also in Nimrod. And those are very popular typefaces, also very legible. But there is one thing I like about Swift. It's the openness of the contours and the proportion of the small capitals. Yeah, those things I like very much. So after I tried to investigate these references, because I had no clue about how a newspaper typeface was supposed to look. Now I felt like able to make a proposal. So I thought that from the semantic point of view, it had to look very modern, very clean. It had to be efficient, like very modern. And, but the shapes themselves had to evoke kind of the high quality expected in a publication like La República, which is perhaps the most important newspaper, economic newspaper in Colombia. Of course, a slight condensation of the letter forms could serve to meet the purposes of economy. From the technical side of view, the open contours and ink traps were needed. And from the ergonomic point of view, I think it should be very conventional. Also, we need to take full advantage of the open type possibilities, and also the chance to generate many different styles. These are the first sketches of La República, as you can see. I tried to draw all of these concerns and all of these intentions, and since they already had decided to use a sans typeface, I also felt like this new typeface had to evoke or had to relate appropriately with the sans typeface that was already chosen, which was Myriad by Carol Twombly. So this sketch was traced exactly on top of Carol Twombly's Myriad. It was the condensed version. I just made the contrast higher. I added the serifs, and that's it. And what I saw, I liked it very much. So this is where the project started. I think I thought at the moment that this was very appropriate for a headline typeface. And this is a comparison between the before and after. This is Castlemaine style, the typeface they were using, and the new typeface. As you can see, the descenders and ascenders are quite shorter, and that makes the X height appear larger, of course. Also, the horizontal proportions are condensed. So this is the kind of things that you expect from a newspaper typeface that saves a lot of space. But it saves a lot of space, but in many, in big amounts of text. If it's only 2 words, of course, you can only see like one letter. The space of one letter has been saved. And then along came the proposal of the entire family, like what weights or what variables are needed to set the newspaper, the whole newspaper. My strategy was to take Myriad again and to try to design different like a serif counterparts, trying to look some relationship between one and the other, and I was hoping that this would help to solve the problem of harmony between one and the other. The first one here at the top left was the news, the headline variable. The others were mostly used for text. And at the middle of the project, a very interesting inquiry by the client came, which was that they needed all the weights to occupy the same space. They had to have the same performance, and that's kind of counterintuitive, because when you design a bold typeface, it usually occupies more space. That's a natural thing. That's normal. So what the client was asking was kind of crazy, but it had a very good reason. It was because when they set the news, they sometimes make one decision and they change it. So they asked me to see how many possibilities we had to make all the letters, all the fonts have exactly the same metrics. At first, I kind of discarded their inquiry, but then I thought a little bit longer about it, and I thought that if this is a bespoke work, why not? I mean, it's if they need it, and that's what they are paying me for, I think I should do it. So this is what I did. I looked for the maximum amount of space that they needed, which was the black weight, and I adjusted the lightest weight that I had drawn at that moment, which was something close to this gray or regular weight, and then I was able to guarantee that every weight would occupy the same space. And the technical part, the technical side of this project was addressed with the ink traps. As you can see, this is a simulation made in Photoshop, but this is the real thing. As you can see, the performance is very different when you have the digital version, right? When you have the printed version, it changes dramatically. And this is what ink traps are made for. If you compare, for instance, the W in Wolfgang up in the left, and you compare with the W in Walter, for instance, you will see a big difference. Also in A, lowercase a. Our influence extended. When you design typeface, you are kind of influential in the design of the newspaper. It was a very we were very lucky to work hand in hand as the design of the newspaper was being made. I was developing the typeface, and so the feedback was very good. We had a very good relationship there. So when they were choosing the right size and the measurement, the width of the columns, they were making this kind of mistakes, not including hyphens, but fully justifying the text. So we made tests and we tried to see what InDesign what we could do in InDesign. We altered the letter space a little bit. We altered also the word space, and then we had a very even texture at the end. And there is an interesting anecdote that taught me to listen to the client and not be I don't know how to say, like, too self-sufficient. It was when I was designing the italic, and I was designing the ampersand of the italic, and I showed it to them, and they didn't understand what this was. They said it was an apple, but it was a perfectly classical ampersand, but then I sketched something quickly, and this is like the finished version. I think it's very good to listen to your clients, because yeah, there are many things as a designer that you just don't know, and if you're supposed to serve them, you have to listen to them very carefully. This typeface has then lowercase numbers and also true small caps, standard ligatures, like uppercase and lowercase numbers. All of them are aligning, and like ornaments. Some ornaments that can be useful for setting the news. And this is how the tile typeface looks compared with Venice. I think it looks better, first because it saves more space, the texture is more even, also has lowercase numbers, has small caps, and that when you add up things like feature after feature or good characteristics, you get something really adequate for your client. There was a mention when they released the redesign, when they published the redesign of the newspaper. They made a very small mention to the work, which is exactly what is supposed to happen, because I mean, readers are not supposed to be aware of all the things behind this work. This is how it looks at the end. So far no one has complained, so I think it's okay. And I'm very happy about this project, because it has brought a lot of recognition for our studio, a lot of recognition for the Colombian type scene in its whole, and we have been selected for the BID 2012, which is like the Ibero-American Design Bienal in Madrid. Also, this project was nominated for the National Design Prize in Colombia, the Proyecto Diseño magazine, and I won in the category of typeface design, and the project was also selected as the project of the year, which is very good. More recently won a certificate of excellence of the Type Directors Club, which is something also very rewarding, and also is part of a selection of Latinos. All of this recognition is kind of putting Colombia as a country on the map of typography. And some of the people who have made this decision to like dedicate their lives to design typefaces or logos or to the letters, they really need an opportunity. They really need that the work is known worldwide. I am very thankful with the organizers of this event, because they have given me a chance to show you this work. Perhaps we can do things together, and it would be great to see you guys again, maybe to answer your questions. So far I've had a very good time in Sao Paulo, and that's it. This is all I have to show. If you have any questions after the lecture, please feel free to contact me or visit my website or my Facebook account. Thank you.
Bom, a gente, vocês devem ver a diferença entre projetos de seja de manhã outro lado que contrata, de quem fica pedindo, de quem fica pedindo para fazer mais bold, mais light, mais condensado, quanto tempo vai demorar para entregar. E agora dá para ver o outro lado da moeda também, né? Porque o tempo que se gasta, principalmente preparação para antes de começar a fazer qualquer coisa, né? É uma coisa que você vê assim, às vezes de 4 ou 6 meses se gasta um tempo só pensando o que você vai fazer, né? Porque até quando se fala de tipo de jornal é uma coisa já digo mais centenário, né? Então você já teve um monte de, enfim, muitas dúvidas já foram tiradas, muitas soluções já foram feitas. Então até a primeira coisa que você faz é pesquisar para não fazer o que já existe também, né? Então é a primeira coisa que eu fiz ele fez o Capicaba um ano, né? Eu fiz no mesmo ano que ele estava fazendo em Reading, mas era a mesma coisa, né? Tipo, olha, pesquisa, referências e referências. Você pode ver que a manhã inteira a gente ficou muito com referências, né? Cada um mostrava as suas referências, por que fez isso, por que fez aquilo. E é isso que faz você conseguir fazer um projeto já mais bem elaborado e com mais substância mesmo, né? Eu vou fazer a pergunta para ele em inglês mesmo, tem na tradução também. I would like to ask you, the first thing is that let's say you prepare a lot before starting doing the job. So, for example, you did it for 4 to 6 months. How long did you take before sketching anything, like just making research and everything? How long did it take before making the first sketch?
No, actually what I showed you was like a condensed version of the process, so I felt obliged to organize it in steps. But in the real life, no design process is actually like first you research and you don't draw a sketch after the research is done. It's like many things happen simultaneously, and I don't really know how long I sketch or I research, because really both things happen at the same time. So.
Perguntas também pode ser em português e se for também tem esse microfone para a tradução pegar, tá? Só uma visão, né? Tá, aí ele usa o headphone. Mais um bocado de novo. Achei meu bloquinho aqui agora. Olha o que vocês estão fazendo comigo. Ainda deu palestra, tá um monte de coisa também. And the second thing is about the bold version that you did, that has to be the same as the regular version. Do you think that, let's say if you had an experience as art director of newspapers, would they ask you to do that, or do you think that maybe the first time they are doing a typeface for the newspaper, so okay, we can do it, so no problem at all, because they don't, as my point of view, they don't understand the difference between the design and the typeface in the same weeks.
Yeah, I think it was like a time issue. It's like they design this, they don't design, they set the newspaper so quickly that perhaps they saw this like, okay, now that you're designing a typeface and it's custom and you're paying for this, you should do what we need, exactly what we need. And so I don't know if this is because they don't have enough experience designing newspapers. I don't think so, because they have been on the trade for perhaps 50 years already. They have been through all the transitions, the technological transitions that you can imagine. So I don't think that's the case. And since I had never designed a typeface for newspapers before, so I thought it was a good idea after the normal struggle with the client. I'm like, why would you want something like that? But if there is a good reason to do it, I think as a designer you should at least consider it. And that's what I did.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, you can try it at least. If it doesn't work, you can do it later. So we're going to start now because we are late on schedule. Later on the roundtable, final roundtable, we're going to ask a few things more about it. Like we had a lot of issues about market, so it's going to be fun. Muito obrigado.